Joining me now, the Energy Minister and Minister soon-to-be for emissions reduction. Congratulations on the win.
Thanks, Kieran.
And Goulburn was one of those that swung very much in your favour. Why is that?
Well, all of Hume swung well in our favour, but so did many other seats right across Australia. And I think the Prime Minister nailed it, Kieran. It was the quiet Australians. It was those Australians who aren't noisy in the press. They're not noisy on Twitter. But they get about their lives and they gave us support. And, you know, it's wonderful to have that support. I mean, it's extraordinary vindication of the campaign that the Prime Minister ran, but most importantly, the policies that we took to the election, because I think those quiet Australians understood those policies, they liked them, that they want to see a coalition government for another term, and of course that's what's happened.
So in areas where you wouldn't necessarily think traditional, blue ribbon Liberal voters, why did they vote for you this time?
Well,
what were the key issues?
I think they do like our policies. I think they do want a government that's going to provide less tax, but at the same time deliver those essential services that we said we'd deliver. They want a government that's going to take forward sensible climate and energy policies. Of course, we'll talk about that in a moment, I'm sure. They want to see a government that is getting about doing the job without grandstanding on much more extreme positions like the 45% renewable, the 45% emission reduction target and 50% renewable energy target. So, look, it's the sensible policies we took to the election that clearly won the day in my electorate and in many electorates across Australia.
Is one of the other issues that wasn't really picked up as being a major vote shifter, but the issue of religious freedom, was that something that resonated with voters in your part of the world?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think this is important. People see that religious freedom is an important issue, and there's no doubt during the course of the election campaign that came up, and I think those of faith felt strongly about this issue, and certainly I saw that in my electorate.
Let's look to the issue of energy and emissions reduction, which you're taking on board. It's interesting. I want to ask you about the fact that the Prime Minister is heading to the Solomon Islands next week and the government wants to reassert its authority and influence in the Pacific, but you'd recognise that for the Pacific, climate change and emission reduction is a huge issue. It's their number one issue, isn't it?
Yeah, and of course we're going to meet our international obligations, as we did for our Kyoto 1 obligations in 2010. We'll meet our Kyoto 2 obligations easily in 2020, and of course we will again for Paris in 2030. So that's what we've consistently done. We took that to the election, the 26% emission reduction target. It's a sensible, proportionate target, and we'll meet those international obligations. Look, we're one of the few countries in the world that has consistently done this, Kieran. We've been an outperformer on this issue.
But how can you make the commitment that you'll meet the 26 to 28% on the direct action approach? Is that that's the driving force behind that?
It's one of them. Look, we've got 328 million tonnes of abatement we know we've got to achieve. We went through those numbers. They were all published in December last year. We know exactly how we're going to achieve that right down to the last tonne. Now, the ERF, as it was then, the Climate Solutions Fund now, the Climate Solutions Package more generally, lays out to the last tonne how we're going to do it. That Climate Solutions Fund is about a third of the total. It's an important part of it. It's been a very successful model. It's a model that has been used in many countries across the world, and it has worked. So we're confident we can achieve those numbers. And the important point here is track record. We have achieved Kyoto 1, we've achieved Kyoto 2, overachieved Kyoto 2 by 367 million tonnes. And we're confident we'll do the same with
Frank Bainimarama, the Fijian Prime Minister, issued a statement very much warmly welcoming the election of Scott Morrison. He said, in Australia, you've defied all expectations. Let us take the same underdog attitude that inspired your victory to the global fight against climate change. It was really the only policy area that he issued in this statement of congratulations, but he focused on that. What will Scott Morrison, what will your government say to leaders like him if they say, we want more ambition from Australia, given its existential as they see it?
Well, there's lots of ambition. We're going to achieve our 26% target. Now, look, the most important point here is delivery, Kieran. It's delivery. It's actually delivering. There's a lot of countries in the world that haven't delivered on their commitments. We have, and we will. And that is the crucial point. We took to the election a very clear policy in this area. People seem surprised that we're going to deliver that policy, that we're going to focus on executing that policy in the coming months and years. And but that's what we took the election, and that's what we're going to do.
But it's not surprising.
And ambition.
But I guess but you don't want to have a tin ear either to those who are your next door neighbours.
Understand, but the important point we'll make is that we as a country deliver on our commitments. We deliver on our commitments. We have and we will.
And within that, that international framework, that was the target, the 26 to 28%.
Sure.
Is there do you think there's scope for exceeding that, particularly if you look at your various projects that you're going to sign off on, I guess, in the coming months on new energy generation? Is there a way that you can be more ambitious but still keep the lights on?
Look, we took a 26% target to the election, and that's what we're going to focus on delivering now.
But you could exceed it.
And we've got to do that consistent.
Is there a chance you could exceed it?
Well, there's always a chance. I mean, we exceeded Kyoto 1, Kyoto 2. But look, there's 11 years to go here, Kieran. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. The focus now is on achieving that. We've laid out to the last tonne how we plan to do it. We've got to deliver on those initiatives. And importantly, we've got to deliver on driving down the price of electricity, the cost of energy, protecting or at least ensuring that we don't trash those crucial industries and jobs that are so central to the Australian economy and resources in agriculture and irrigation, manufacturing and transport. We are determined to keep those industries prosperous and healthy, and at the same time put this downward pressure on energy costs, which is so crucial for those industries and for households.
Do you feel that Australia's got credibility in the eyes of the Pacific leaders? But the reason I ask that is because the week before the election, the Samoan Prime Minister made a bit of a crack at your government. He said, I think we shouldn't worry too much about them. The question will be answered by the voters. Let us keep our fingers crossed, is what he said in the lead up to the election. Obviously, the outcome that he wanted didn't eventuate. What do you say to them and to Samoan leadership and others in the region about the government's credibility on those matters?
Well, the Prime Minister will talk to them, and I'll leave that to him. But as you know, Kieran, we took a clear set of policies to the election. We won the election. We're now going to focus on delivering. That's the key now. It's back to work. Okay. It's getting on with the job, whether it's in economic policy or energy policy, and that's exactly what I'll be doing, and I know the rest of the team will be doing the same.
Anthony Albanese is the new Labor leader. He's saying that he believes in the market reaction to Adani. Once they've cleared the environmental hurdles, then that's it. Is that a fair enough response? Are you happy with that shift in language from him vis-a-vis his predecessor?
Well, I think the crucial question for Albanese is, does he support the coal export industry and our major export sectors like the coal industry? Is he going to support them? And he seems to be pretty unclear on that. I'm pleased that he's not saying he's going to get in the way, but the crucial point here is this. There is a large part of the Australian economy, particularly in Queensland, in regional Queensland, which is dependent on these industries, Kieran. And ultimately, you've got to make a call about whether or not you want to support those industries. We do. We think it's completely consistent with our international obligations. And
does that go to, one of those projects on your list, your short list for new generation? Will you go that far to say, OK, we will focus on coal in that sense?
Well, at the end of the day, what matters here is that we meet our international obligations and that we put downward pressure on energy costs so that we can keep those critical industries prosperous and reduce household bills. That's what we'll do. It's the outcomes we're focused on, Kieran. It's the outcomes we took to the election, and we'll achieve those. And this is the crucial thing now. It's back to work.
But if you can
it's delivery that counts.
But if you can boost some of those communities that you referred to by approving one of these projects with coal as its focus, would you consider doing that?
Well, at the end of the day, everything will be judged against the outcomes we want to achieve. Okay. That's what the Australian people want. That's what we took to the election. Yep. And that's how we're going to approach this. And that's exactly as it should be. And we do want to make sure these crucial industries that are the backbone of particularly of regional areas in Queensland, in New South Wales, in Victoria, in Western Australia, of course, we want to see that those industries continue to thrive and prosper. It is absolutely essential we do this. The Labor Party has been ambiguous on this issue. There's no ambiguity from us. We want to see these industries succeed.
When you look at the broader, climate policies and reduction targets and so on, they have a broader impact as well, don't they, in terms of we want to secure a free trade agreement with the EU. The EU won't sign free trade agreements with any country that isn't seen to have ambitious enough or credible policies on climate change. Is that something that is factored in terms of
let's be clear
the
here,
discussion on that?
The 26% target
I'm not saying it's not credible.
It's one of the most ambitious targets in the world.
Sure.
It's a very strong
But I'm just
target.
saying, is that part of the government's consideration in all of this, that it's not, you can't just make policy in a silo, so to speak?
Yeah, but the suggestion you were making in your question...
It's not a suggestion. I'm just asking if that is considered in terms of your policies, discussions with the EU and others who do have very much forward-leaning climate policies.
Well, we have more ambitious targets per capita and certainly for the growth rate of our economy than almost any other country in the world. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And we've achieved in the past. So we're not lacking for ambition here. Now the key is to deliver. And a crucial issue here is, will Labor join us? So we've got bipartisanship on this now. It would make a huge difference. Industry, business want to see this. This is a big call for Labor. They've got to decide whether they're going to join with us. We can get bipartisanship here.
But what do you need their support on?
Well, to agree to the 26% target. I mean, we took that to the election. We've won the election. Let's get on with it. Let's deliver. There's an opportunity for Labor to join us and that there be bipartisanship on this crucial issue.
You might be in office till then, who knows?
Well, we'd like to have their support. I think it's important.
Angus Taylor, thanks. Good to see you.
Thank you.